Greetings, history lovers. Today we reveal the hidden truth behind the greatest ancient wonder of the world. For decades, films convinced us the Great Pyramid was built by the blood and tears of tortured souls. Others falsely claim that aliens used advanced flying saucers to move these massive and heavy stones. But what if I told you that every single piece of this dramatic story is completely and utterly wrong? Recent discoveries reveal a shocking truth about the ancient builders of the majestic Giza Plateau. Standing tall in the scorching desert, the Great Pyramid of Khufu is an absolute masterpiece of stone. It is the last surviving member of the original 7 wonders of the ancient world we know today. This colossal monument holds over 2.3 million limestone blocks, stacked incredibly high. Each block weighs roughly 2.5 tons, making the entire structure unbelievably heavy. For thousands of years, humanity has asked one burning question about this architectural miracle. How did a people without wheels or iron tools manage to build something so geometrically perfect? The sheer impossibility of this task gave birth to some of the wildest theories in modern history. Pop culture painted a grim picture of a tyrannical pharaoh, forcing endless lines of broken captives. We imagine cruel guards cracking heavy leather whips on the aching backs of miserable, starving men. This dark fantasy suggests the pyramid is a giant tomb, built entirely upon human suffering. When the forced labor theory felt mathematically impossible, theorists turned their eyes toward the sky. They confidently declared that only highly advanced alien beings could possess such perfect precision. They imagined flying saucers using anti-gravity lasers to effortlessly lift the massive rocks. But assigning this great human achievement to aliens is an insult to our ancient ancestors' genius. The true story of the builders is written in the very sand of Giza, waiting patiently to be found. According to ancient texts, Pharaoh Khufu commissioned this great project around 2580 BC. He envisioned a monument that would secure his journey into the starry afterlife of the high gods. To achieve this, the entire nation of ancient Egypt mobilized its resources on a truly epic scale. It was a giant challenge that required decades of planning, endless supplies, and an army of workers. For a long time, historians could not find the physical remains of the people who did the heavy lifting. Without physical evidence, the Greek historian Herodotus popularized the tragic myth of slave labor. Writing 2,000 years after it was finished, he assumed only forced labor could build such a thing. His dramatic accounts influenced modern literature, Hollywood blockbusters, and general public opinion. We accepted the cruel story because it seemed to be the only explanation for such a massive job. But science relies on hard evidence, not ancient gossip, and the desert was finally ready to speak. In the late 20th century, a horse accidentally stumbled upon a hidden mud brick wall in Giza. This random accident triggered one of the most important archaeological excavations in Egyptian history. Underneath the shifting sands, archaeologists uncovered an entire lost city dedicated to the builders. If you were a laborer, would your master build a specialized city just to heal your broken bones? The ruins of this vast worker village completely shattered everything we thought we knew about the past. They found large bakeries capable of producing thousands of loaves of fresh bread every single day. Massive breweries were found, providing the workers with a steady supply of thick, nutritious daily beer. Even more shocking was the discovery of animal bones. mostly from young and prime cattle and sheep. In the ancient world, premium beef was a luxury strictly reserved for the wealthy elite and the priests. Yet the people hauling the heavy stones were eating meat almost every day to keep their raw strength. No ancient civilization has ever fed its workers a highly expensive and protein-rich meat diet. Next to the city, excavators found a meticulously planned cemetery containing hundreds of sacred graves. These tombs were built near the king's pyramid, a sacred honor absolutely forbidden for common slaves. Inside these tombs, researchers examined the skeletal remains of the men and women who worked at the site. Their bones showed severe signs of arthritis and heavy stress, proving the intense nature of their hard job. However, the medical evidence found on these ancient skeletons is truly an absolute ancient miracle. Many skeletons had cleanly set broken bones, meaning they received proper medical care and time to heal. One skull even showed evidence of a successful brain surgery, with the patient living for years after. They were respected laborers, deeply valued by the state, and provided with excellent healthcare support. The graves were stocked with jars of beer and bread for the afterlife, showing deeply held religious faith. So if they were not abused captives or intergalactic aliens, who exactly were these great ancient builders? According to modern scholars, the workforce was largely composed of ordinary Egyptian farmers and peasants. Every year, the mighty Nile River flooded the farmlands, making agriculture totally impossible for months. Instead of sitting idle, thousands of farmers eagerly traveled to the Giza Plateau to offer their hard work. This was a system of national civic duty, where citizens paid their taxes to the Pharaoh through hard work. They were divided into organized crews, with fierce rivalries and proud names like the Friends of Khufu. They worked in rotating shifts, returning to their towns when the floodwaters dropped and planting season began. Working on the Great Pyramid was considered a deeply sacred act of devotion to their living God King. By helping Khufu ascend the stars, they believed they were securing cosmic peace for the whole nation. But having a willing workforce is only half the battle when dealing with millions of massive, heavy stones. The true mastermind behind this impossible puzzle was a brilliant architectural genius named Hemiunu. As the Pharaoh's chief engineer, Hemiunu led an army of master stonecutters and brilliant mathematicians. He standardized the block sizes, turning chaotic quarrying into a highly efficient assembly line process. To extract the limestone, skilled artisans used pure copper chisels and wooden mallets with perfect rhythm. They drove dry wooden wedges into natural cracks in the rock, then soaked the wood with water to break it. The strong pressure of the swelling wood naturally cracked the solid bedrock, producing perfect rectangles. Once freed, these 2.5-ton blocks had to be moved across the burning sand without any wheeled carts. This is where the true brilliance of Egyptian engineering shines. Combining raw power with basic physics, they loaded the massive blocks onto heavy wooden sleds, binding them tightly with thick, hand-woven palm ropes. A team of muscular workers would grab the ropes, leaning forward and pulling with all their combined raw strength. To conquer the intense friction of the dry sand, a single worker stood at the front of the moving wood sled. He poured small amounts of water directly onto the path, instantly transforming the loose and dry desert sand. This simple addition of water bound the sand grains tightly together, making a hard, slippery surface. Physics experiments prove that this simple wet sand technique cuts the required pulling force entirely in half. With a smooth path established, the rhythm of the workers became a beautiful dance of pure determination. To raise the stones hundreds of feet into the air, Hemiunu designed a complex system of massive mud brick ramps. Some experts believe a straight ramp was used for the base, while a spiraling internal ramp reached the high top. Using simple wooden levers and raw muscle, they nudged each stone into place with terrifying, perfect precision. The alignment to the cardinal points of the compass is so flawless, it rivals modern laser measuring tools.
Limestone blocks meet with such precision.
Every sweat-drenched day, these proud farmers laid hundreds of blocks, slowly pushing the Great Pyramid to the sky. The ancient air echoed with the chanting of strong workers, hauling the heavy loads upward to the sky. Moving one block every few minutes, they maintained a brutal and incredibly punishing pace for many years. Feeding and organizing this massive ancient workforce truly boggles the brilliant modern human mind. Millions of tons of stone were transported without the invention of wheels, basic pulleys, or iron tools. It was a breathtaking symphony of human muscle, geometry, and flawless civic coordination. The sheer scale of this project brought the scattered villages of ancient Egypt together as one nation. It forged a unified national identity, teaching them how to organize on a massive and complex scale. For the mighty Pharaoh Khufu, this was the ultimate expression of his divine and earthly power. From a high viewpoint, he watched thousands of loyal subjects shaping his grand, eternal royal destiny. There were no alien overlords or brutal drivers enforcing this incredible human discipline and will. Instead, the desert wind carried the proud, unified voices of free men, building their own great legacy. Every swing of the chisel and every pull of the heavy rope was a deeply spiritual and sacred action. Inside the dark, expanding inner chambers, the greatest engineers worked tirelessly by torchlight. They carved out the Grand Gallery, an architectural marvel that still defies all modern logic and skill. The heavy granite blocks used for the king's inner chamber weighed an incredible 50 tons each. Lifting massive stones inside a tight space required absolute and flawless mathematical perfection. Hemiunu relied on nothing but simple plumb lines, wooden squares, and observation of the stars. The pyramid faces were perfectly aligned to the exact points of the compass, with almost zero error. This pure precision is incredibly difficult to recreate, even with modern technology and computers. For 20 long, brutal years, the massive construction site was a highly organized ancient city. If you were placed in this ancient desert, would you sacrifice decades of your life for a living god? These proud Egyptian farmers embraced their difficult duty, driven by unbreakable religious faith. As the final years approached, the pyramid was carefully coated in a smooth layer of white limestone. This special Tura limestone casing was painstakingly polished to eliminate any rough edges. The bright surface acted like a giant mirror, brilliantly reflecting the harsh sunlight across the wide desert. It was so incredibly bright that it could be easily seen shining from many miles away in the valley. Then came the ultimate crowning achievement of this glorious project, placing the golden capstone on top. This sacred pyramidion, likely coated in bright electrum, was hoisted to the highest peak. As it finally settled into place, a massive wave of triumph washed over the entire workforce. 20 years of backbreaking physical labor had finally resulted in a magnificent, perfect creation. Pharaoh Khufu stood before his finished monument, bathed in the divine, glorious golden light of the sun. He raised his golden scepter high, acknowledging the unmatched power and loyalty of his great people. Behind him, architect Hemiunu smiled quietly, knowing his engineering genius would live forever. The massive crowd of builders erupted in a truly thunderous and incredibly joyful celebration. They danced wildly in the hot desert sand, holding their heavy wooden tools toward the brightly shining sky. This was not the relief of forced laborers, but the intense pride of masterful ancient creators. They literally moved massive mountains with bare hands, cementing their permanent place in human history. The reality of their achievement is far more impressive than any modern science fiction story. We do not need to invent invisible aliens or whips to explain the breathtaking wonder of Giza. The Great Pyramid is a testament to what highly motivated human beings can truly accomplish. It was built by fathers, sons, and brave local neighbors working together for a shared cosmic goal. Their powerful bodies were the heavy lifting machines, and their brilliant minds were the advanced computers. By discarding false myths, we elevate the magnificent, true history of the ancient Egyptian people. We replace a dark tale of oppression with a truly inspiring history of deep human resilience. The work of village ruins speak a profound truth that cannot be silenced by cheap modern Hollywood films. They prove that deep human cooperation and brilliant planning can conquer impossible challenges. When the great floods returned the next season, the proud workers packed up and peacefully went home. They left behind a flawless mountain of cut stone that would boldly stand tall for over 4,000 years. Even as empires rose and violently fell, the Great Pyramid calmly watched over the silent desert. It survived massive earthquakes, violent sandstorms, and the destructive march of human time. Today, it draws millions of eager visitors who stand absolutely breathless in its majestic shadow. They look closely at the weathered stones and deeply wonder how mere mortals could achieve such perfection. The answer does not lie in the mystical stars, but firmly rooted in the rich soil of the river Nile. It lies entirely in the calloused hands of the strong men who proudly hoisted those heavy blocks upward. It lives in the brilliant mind of Hemiunu, whose ancient geometry forever conquered the desert. And it echoes directly from the unyielding spirit of Khufu, who dared to dream on a massive scale. So the next time you see this ancient wonder, remember the true, inspiring story carved within the stones. The pyramid is not a symbol of cruelty. It is a stunning triumph of human will and ancient faith. Could modern humans ever unite to build such a massive wonder without advanced machines? Share below. If you loved this journey, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more epic history.